Hello, everyone, and welcome to MIC TV. Today, we're going to be discussing 5 tips for building your music career if you're a starving artist. Now, I'm your host, Greg Ferriola, along with my partner, TJ Peterson. Now, if this is your first time joining us, TJ and I would both like to welcome you to the MIC community. We love interacting and meeting new musicians. And please, if you have an opportunity, say hi to us in the chat. Drop your links so we can, follow you and check you out after our broadcast is done. And if you have any questions or anything throughout or comments throughout our live stream today, please just drop them in the chat. If you are ever in need of any help with your music career, you can find us at our website, www.musicianindycoalition.com. TJ will drop that link in the chat because, as I always say, it is a mouthful. And our site has some great resources for musicians, and you can see all the different ways that we can potentially work with one another and how we can help you with your music career should you need it. All right, so getting to today's topic, 5 tips for building a music career when you're a starving artist. We're going to, no PowerPoint presentation today, but we do have some talking points that we want to go over and explain with you, things that we feel that are really important when you're going through the process of building a career. Now, every artist and band dreams of having a professional music career. But every artist that does have that dream starts out essentially earning no money from their music. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you are a Hall of Fame artist, everybody begins their career by making absolutely nothing when it comes to music. It's just like any other business. In fact, it's so common they actually coined the phrase starving artist because you really struggle early on in your career when you are working at becoming a professional musician. Now, when we had the idea to create Mike, we began focusing on 2 things. One, creating an easy to follow blueprint for musicians that were building a music career from the business side of things because we knew they needed business help. And 2, providing a system that allowed musicians to develop their career for as close to free as possible. Now, why did we do that for? For 2 reasons. Because first, we recognized that musicians, again, needed help understanding and developing the business side of their career. And most musicians, too, don't have a lot of money to do that with. Now, before we dive into this topic today, I want to start by saying that every artist and band needs to have money to invest in their career because there isn't a business out there that doesn't have startup costs and overhead. Now, musicians face numerous expenses. From the music side of things, they may have to invest things in musical gear, lessons, studio time. And on the business side of things, they'll need to invest in things like building a website, promotion materials, and sales items like their merchandise. Now, that being said, the amount of money you need to spend on developing your music career will vary on several different factors. Now, throughout our time as musicians, label owners, and business coaches, we've found there's always an expensive way to do things and an inexpensive way. And how much you spend is really and honestly entirely up to you. So now here's our 5 tips for struggling musicians. First and foremost, tip number 1, impatience is your enemy. Meaning the faster you want something, the more you're going to have to pay for it. For example, if you buy something online and don't care about how fast you get it, then shipping is going to be cheap. Whereas if you need something by the next day, you better be prepared to pay a fortune. And this analogy can be applied to every aspect of your music career. For example, if you don't want to take the time to learn an instrument, then you're going to have to hire musicians to play for you. Or if you don't want to invest the time into building your website, then you're going to have to hire someone to build that as well. Now, the problem with this is the more you spend, the more then you, in essence, are going to need to earn. And if you're not earning anything from your music, it's only a matter of time before you run out of money and your career is over before it starts. Which brings us to tip 2. Knowledge is your savior. Meaning the more you know, the more money you're going to wind up saving. Now, throughout TJ's and my personal career and time in the industry, we learned everything: label management, licensing, tour management, website design, marketing, contracts, live event production, and the list goes on. So when it came time for us to launch our own business, we didn't have to spend a lot of money hiring staff or third-party services because we knew how to do everything our business did. That means that every obstacle you face technically speaking, can be overcome by learning. You can learn different instruments, recording, how to create a website, how to shoot a video, and so on and so on. And all these things will save you tons of money. The drawback is that it's going to cost you your other precious commodity, which is time. Now, if you don't have money, then you need to be willing to spend your time and invest it into learning about the things that you need to do. And if you don't want to invest your time because you don't want to wait to have your dream music career, then I'm going to refer you back to tip number one: impatience is your enemy. TJ and I officially launched MIC on June 9th, 2017, but we worked with on the concept. And then before that, actually for a year, we worked on the overall concept. Today, is MIC the huge international success we want it to be 4 years later? No, it's not. Why? Because we don't want to risk tons and tons of our money trying to speed up our success because and kind of risk our progression in general just because we want to get from here to where we want to be as fast as possible. That's not the way to do it. Now, at some point in time, it is okay to take calculated risk with your money, but just throwing money and hoping that you might be able to strike lightning is not the way to go about doing it. It's better to learn all the skills that you need to run your business properly, get it to the point where it's bringing in revenue, and then reinvest that revenue into hiring people to do the things and tasks that you don't have time for anymore. That's the officially good business practice to do that in. So take our advice and always be learning new things, because the more you know, the easier it's going to be to build your career. That being said, we aren't saying that you should spend the next 20 years of your life developing your music career into the point where you're financially successful. There are always ways to increase how fast you progress in your career. And that brings us to tip number 3. Guidance is a time saver. Now, TJ and I are big believers in self-teaching. We do it all the time and feel it's an invaluable skill to have. However, the drawback of self-teaching is that you'll make a lot of mistakes and you're going to waste a lot of time. So when you encounter something that requires a lot of learning, we highly recommend finding a mentor. As a musician, you aren't reinventing the wheel. So everything that you're currently doing, someone else has done before you. That means there are people out there that know the best and fastest way for you to complete any task that you encounter. And getting guidance from those people can save you a lot of time and speed up your progression exponentially. It's like using a GPS. A GPS will give you the fastest route to your destination, and a good mentor can do the same because they know how to get you to where you want to go. Now, mentors may cost you money, but in our opinion, they're 100% worth the investment. And yes, part of me is saying that because, yeah, I'm a mentor. But that being said, our program does save musicians time and money when developing their career. But working with us, again, is, in my opinion, a wise investment, because we're there to steer you in the right direction and prevent you from making a lot of the mistakes that bog down musicians every day in their career. So it's really, in our opinion, worth it. When I personally got involved in the music industry, I had a mentor, and it just saved me so much problems and headaches when I listened to her. When I didn't listen to her, I ran into a lot of problems. It cost me tons and tons of money, and things that I thought were the right thing to do that were going to get me from here to stardom that wound up being complete money pits. But when I listened to her, it was absolutely invaluable. And the career that I have today, record label owner, having worked for Nile Rodgers, my entire resume, I owe to have my relationship with her and her guidance. So it's really, really, truly invaluable. However, there are always free ways to acquire knowledge, like YouTube videos and like the live stream that you're watching right now, where you can get tips to fix specific issues that you're facing in your career. Now, those are great things to do. And if you want to look at free examples, that's completely fine. But what I will say about that is the drawback is typically that you're only getting a piece to the overall puzzle. It's like trying to reach a destination without a GPS and instead stopping to ask for your directions when you get lost. So you're still eventually going to get to where you want to go, but it's going to take a little bit more time because you are going to be making some wrong turns and some mistakes along the way. So seriously, consider working with a mentor, because it really does help out a lot. Now, another big time saver is our next tip, which is collaboration is key. At some point in your career, you're going to encounter an obstacle that requires a skill that isn't in your wheelhouse necessarily, like maybe being a graphic artist, or a task that's extremely expensive, like promoting your music. The way that you can overcome each of these types of obstacles without spending money at all is through collaboration. Now, if you're not a graphic artist and need that skill, you can collaborate with someone that is and trade services. Bartering for help is the oldest form of currency, and it's key for musicians when developing their career. Not only does it save you money, but it also helps you building your network of contacts. So really, it's a win-win situation. On the flip side, a lot of artists will spend thousands of dollars on things like PR, advertising, or even management in hopes of growing their career. But a better solution is to collaborate with other artists on projects. And that way you can eventually work together and share your audiences with one another, hence exponentially growing your fan base without having to spend monies on Facebook ads that you don't know where they're going, or a PR agent that's going to promise you the world but not promise how much money you're going to make in return for the investment that you are giving. So those are really important aspects. And our final tip is to, first and foremost, I've gone anything, spend responsibly. I'm going to repeat that again. This is really important for every musician here. Spend responsibly. Sometimes you do need and should spend money on things. And the best example I can have for that is if you encounter legal trouble or legal questions or financial matters. Because both of those areas, when it comes to your music career, have the ability to make or break your career in an instant. Meaning signing a contract without knowing what you're actually signing, or managing your career without knowing the financial aspects, can truly come back to haunt you. So many artists and bands have ruined their career by signing bad deals or not keeping an eye on their finances. So really, don't make that mistake. When it comes time for that, even if you have to spend outside your budget, do it, because the back end costs could be, really, truly dire. Now, we're going to give you one extra bonus tip, and this is a really good and important key one. A day job is always, not always, but is typically the answer. Meaning, we've come across a lot of artists that didn't want to get a day job and just wanted to, quote unquote, go for it and pursue their music career full time. Needless to say, that plan rarely ever works. You need money to support your career. It's just a fact. You need it. And getting a good day job that covers all your personal expenses and supplies you with money to invest in your career is extremely, extremely important. You might feel like it leaves you less time for your music, and that's honestly one of the things we hear all the time, but that honestly, it's just simply not true. Because if you had all day of every day to work on your career, chances are you wouldn't do it, and you probably even couldn't. You get tired throughout the course of the day. So switching activities and having other things to do is important. You can't spend 24/7 working the same thing, because you're going to get bored, burned out, and even when it's something as fun or something as you love as much as music. Having a day job seriously gives you security, and the remaining time that you have to dedicate to music will be more focused, because when you have a limited time to do something, you're going to zero in to get it done. Whereas, again, if you have 12 hours to do one thing, maybe you'll watch some TV, you'll do this, you'll maybe watch some YouTube videos, and then eventually you'll buckle down and get some real work done. But overall, having a limited amount of time will make you more efficient. I know that I've always found I'm more productive when I have a busy schedule versus having an unlimited amount of time. Because when you have an unlimited amount of time, you can always do it later. Whereas I have this 3-hour window, I got to get it done because I don't have any more time beyond that. So it really does keep you focused and progressing better. So consider it, because as we've learned today, the more money you have, the easier it'll be to develop your career, as long as you invest your money wisely. So to recap, our 5 tips for musicians that are starving artists trying to develop their career. Tip number 1 is impatience is your enemy. Number 2, knowledge is your savior. Tip 3, guidance is a time saver. Tip 4, collaboration is key. And tip 5, spend responsibly. And our bonus tip of the day is a day job is the answer. Now, these tips are really, might sound simplistic, but they're really, really powerful if you think about them and adopt them in your life. They're rules that I personally live by, no matter what. And I'm very impatient. So the number one for me is one of my biggest, drawbacks, but I'm learning to be patient because things in your career don't always progress and typically don't progress as fast as you want them to. So you have to let them naturally unfold. I've heard a lot of people talk about the faster you do the work, the faster you think you can get results, but that's not necessarily true. Things happen in their own time. What you need to do is just really focus on doing all the right things, getting guidance where you need it, learning whenever you have the opportunity to do it, working with others so you're not doing everything by yourself. And when it is time for you to actually reach into your pocket and spend money, do it responsibly by investing in things that you need to do, not just because you're trying to speed things up in your career.
I did want to talk about your day job tip. It's a good one. It comes up all the time with our clients. We're from New York, so I feel like we have a kind of a fast paced cycle that we've seen a lot of careers begin and die because of that, a lack of a day job. People come into New York all the time and with the dream to make it in music, and they're like, oh, I have savings, and I think I'm just going to make a run at it. And we've at first we were like encouraging of that because we try to, at the end of the day, our clients are the decision makers, and we try to just kind of accommodate the decisions that they make and make the best outcome possible from them. But since we've seen too many people come and go and then have to move back to where they came from and get a real job there, real job. I'm sorry, I even said that. It's a terrible thing to say, but get a day job there, and it's just you need the day job. It especially early. We're all of our goals for you is to get you off that day job and to get you working for yourself full time. But it's a necessary stepping stone. You need to get that floor underneath you before you can start building on it. So that is such a good tip. It's such a hard pill to swallow. I know it's a very unpopular opinion. I hear business coaches for musicians like other than us say not to do that. I mean, I've heard the opposite. Say go for it, and like if you don't dive in head first, like you don't really want it. I fully disagree with that. I think get that base income going and invest it into yourself and invest it into your career. And if you do it right, you'll be off and running. And if you don't do it right, then you have a job, so you're all right. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, I just finished a session, right before our live stream, and it was an artist that was struggling with the idea of getting a job. Like they didn't know whether or not they should or not. And when we talked with them about that, we just explained like, you can get the 9 to 5 full-time job, or you can break it down and say, I'm gonna get a part-time job, something that might fit in better with my schedule. It's the reason why there are so many artists are, bartenders or, waiters and waitresses, is because it's a flexible schedule. And you can bring in a lot of money in a short period of time. And that's, a big stepping point. But at the end of the day, you do need to have something, where that allows you to bring in money to support yourself. I mean, it's, unless you're independently wealthy, which if so, then, God bless you. But, most artists don't have that luxury. So, like I said, any business out there needs money to start up. Again, our program helps you kind of figure out how to do it with as little money as possible, but you're going to need money for gear and rent and anything else that you might need. So, it's a big selling point, and it's a big, hurdle to not overcome, but something that you need to have. It's just, you need it. Again, if you ever need anything, please visit us at www.musicianindiecoalition.com, or you can always message us through our social media channels or at contact@musicianindiecoalition.com. Beyond that, everyone have a great day. And remember, we're always here to help if you need it. Thanks for watching. If you're truly serious about building a professional music career, then I recommend learning how to be successful by watching our video, How DIY Musicians Become and Stay Successful. You can find the link for it in the description below. It's filled with great information, and we even give you a free gift for watching. So you really can't go wrong. Anyway, check it out today, and please don't forget to subscribe.